Well, what I'd like to do is go ahead and get the program started. And today we're going to have Dr. George Meghabghab speaking for us. And Dr. Meghabghab received his French doctorate in informatics in 1983 from the University of Paris, PhD in computer science in 1988 from Florida State University. He became a full professor of computer science at Valdosta State University in 1997. After that, Dr. Meghabghab left Valdosta State University in 1999. He became a full-time professor at Roane State in 2007. He's published 2 books and more than 45 journal papers and conference papers. He's been in charge of the AAS and IT with 2 concentrations in programming and cyber defense since 2015. This cyber defense program earned the designation of National Center of Academic Excellence in June of 2020. He's happily married to his beautiful wife, Marie Thuris, and has 2 children, Sarah, 19, Victor, 17, and he lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. So let me please introduce a very distinguished gentleman and my friend and colleague, Dr. George Meghabghab.
Thank you, sir. So I'm honored to be here, and at the same time, I want to thank Casey Cobb. Where is Casey? Okay, so I want to thank Casey and the whole committee that worked with him to put my name everywhere and to bring me to do what I'm doing today, even though I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm a busy guy. I have lots of things on my plate. But, I said I would do that. But so my point also at the same time, as you celebrate me and celebrate my life, I'm celebrating all of your lives. Because no life is an island by itself. We all impact one another. But at the same time, I want to start by saying I've been at Roane State now for more than 20 years. And I believe it's the best of times for Roane State Community College because of the actual administration we have. So President Wade and Dr. Diane Ward, I'm honored to be here, and the success that I have right now at Roane State is the fruit of your support for the AAS program, for the IT program. All the sacrifices you did for me to be successful is due to you. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you. Okay, as you celebrate my life, and at the same time, I just want you to know that I miss Dr. Arthur Lee. Okay, he's a friend. We get to know people. We know the faculty that are with us, and seriously, I'm very concerned about him. And I don't know why a person would disappear for 12 days, and we don't know anything about it. Maybe people do, but I feel like we need to. Can we have a moment where we just pray for Arthur? So can I give a minute of silence for all of us? We pray that God would have mercy on him and all of us. So can we do that, please? Thank you. All right, thank you. So life, again, is a sequence of dynamic processes. We all inherit good genes, bad genes. And at the end of the day, you hope that you, as you look back at your life, you could tame the bad genes in your life, and let the good genes, your successful genes, or the genes that made you who you are, have their actual success day. So that's my own experience and journey of life. So I come from a family where immigration, for on my father's side, my grandfather, so I'm getting personal, everything I share I approve 100%. So I speak the truth, nothing but the truth. And everything I say to you, some of it is not kosher or 100% politically correct. So you're going to take me as I am, and hopefully you enjoy what I'm sharing with you. So on my mom's side, they're very conservative. On my dad's side, more progressive. So these two things I've lived all of my life. Sometimes the progressive takes over, sometimes the conservative takes over. So, so we come from a family, originally, I'm Lebanese, multicultural, multi-ethnic, like Ukraine. Okay, just to give you an idea what's going on. And so we are, on one side there is Syria, and the other side there is a nation called Israel, right? And both have things in Lebanon. Okay, they want to tame things. All major countries, big countries, they have zones of influence, right? And you don't want Cuba to have missiles on your border. You don't want the Ukraine all of a sudden to declare NATO a place for them, right? So all of this creates, if you're in the middle, that's what a Lebanese guy feels. So when I was born, there wasn't war, but as things went on, you could see there's tension. There's lots of things going on inside and outside, and so I'm the result of that. But let's go back to my dad. On my dad's side, so my grandfather, on my father's side, World War I, he's broke, but his wife had money. But they, this is World War I, nobody's making any money, and you don't want to go to Europe. You don't want to stay in the Middle East, so he goes to Africa. Okay, Senegal. How many of you know where Senegal is? Okay, so Senegal, he takes his wife, and after 5 years, they get a peanut farm going. Okay, very successful. Stays until 1948, January 1948. Why do I say that, Casey?
That would be Arab uprising,
right? Or
Israeli invasion.
you got it. In the beginning of the state of Israel. So he stays there until 1948. My dad, meanwhile, so my grandfather had 2 children. The first one dies because in Africa, malaria, right? And his name is Theodore, by the way. And my dad, the lucky one, he's the youngest. His name is Victor. And he survives. But my grandfather said he's not staying here. So he sends him back to Lebanon. We come from a Catholic background. And my grandfather's brother was a priest, Catholic priest. They had a major rectory in Jerusalem. So my dad ends up being in Jerusalem, raised by his uncle, the priest, and all the nuns. Okay? So that's the reality of my father. Now, there was no Israel at that time, right? And so my dad ends up graduating with a master's degree in psychology in 1947 from, what's the major university in Jerusalem? Casey?
The American University?
No, even though there was YMCA during my dad's time. Okay, just to let you know. Yes, or the British were in charge. All his professors were British. So I think the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And even though it's Hebrew University of Jerusalem, the university always was manned by British professors. So I believe he was the first Lebanese to ever earn a master's degree in psychology in 1947. So my dad leaves before the uprising. And so, is this by accident? I don't know. But anyway, so my grandfather sells the farm, returns to Lebanon. And my dad, the same thing, ends up being in Lebanon. There were no cell phones or nothing like that to be able to communicate and make this thing happen. I don't know whether you believe in chances, accidents. I always believe there is a hand behind everything that happens in life. And so this is where, so my grandfather goes back to Lebanon, wealthy, well-to-do, and so my dad, comes back, teaches at the high school, at the university level. So we come from a well-to-do family, but we are people of faith. Okay, so that's critical. Okay, so that's critical because in the Middle East, and by the way, if you want to know that more, I still have a copy of that, or my mom does. My dad passed away since 1990. I couldn't go see him because I was working on my green card while in the United States, 1990. So we still have a picture of my grandfather going to Rome and shaking the hands of Pope. So just to give you an idea where we stand. Okay, so at least you need that background. So in my genes, there were immigration genes. Okay, on my father's side, on my mom's side, she's more conservative. So, comes the war, Civil War, 1976. I didn't want to travel, didn't want to leave. And I always, who wants to leave his mom, right? I mean, my mom is my champion, my supporter. Anytime I had an exam, high school exam, she was always waiting outside, waves at me, how is it? So, that's the way I was born. Who wants to leave his mom? You've got the support, the love and everything else. I didn't feel like leaving, but my dad, right? So he's done, that's the way it is. So that's why I say always there's the genes, you genetically, and even though I fought my dad, and at the end of the day, 1977, so I left to go study in France, and again, things were happening. One of the neighbors in the town where I live, so we lived in the Meghabghab Valley. My grandfather left the mountain where people were hungry in 1914. The Meghabghab Valley was rich. You've got all the grains. Remember, you know anything about the Meghabghab Valley, Casey?
Yes, sir.
It's the Roman what? Granary. They gave the Romans during that time, even the Romans used to come to the Meghabghab Valley get their grains. So Meghabghab Valley is a well-known place for, lots of things. And so the point that I'm making is you leave and didn't want to, leave and stuff like that. But anyway, so I end up being one of our neighbors, went before me, a year before me. I didn't know anybody in France. So I go to the same place where he's going, but my heart wasn't in it. So I end up in Nantes, France. My mom gets in touch with other of my colleagues who were with me in high school and at the university level, first year. And so they are in Lille, Catholic University of Lille. Okay, so I know them. That's good, right? You want a reference? And so I leave Nantes, go to Lille, and so I end up staying there. The president of Lille, the Catholic University of Lille, that day was the last day of registration. Walk in there, he shakes my hand, he says, welcome to Institut Supérieur d'Électronique du Nord, okay? Electronics. So I'm getting my bachelor's degree in electronics. So he comes and shakes all of the Lebanese guys who were there hands. We got full scholarship for 3 years. So I ended up graduating from there. But look at the difference. So what I'm saying to you, whatever happens in life, I could have stayed in Nantes and got bamboozled, or go to Lille and make it the way it is. Ended up graduating with honors. But the story doesn't stop there, so I go back to Lebanon. Don't know what to do. My dad is unhappy. My mom loves me. So she loves the whole situation. Her oldest son is at the house. Things are wonderful and everything else. This is serious. So I may be, I'm not going fast forward since I have an hour. But so my uncle is a hot shot. Okay? He's an engineer, electrical engineer, graduated from the most sophisticated or well-known engineering school from France. So he's in charge of Lebanon electrical grid. They invited all their the French-speaking people, the French government, come to Paris, 1980, and invited all the Lebanese delegation, Syrian, all the French, whatever French had influence. So my uncle is there. The guy in charge of the delegation says, he's sharing, if you know anybody who wants to do internship at Saclay. You know what Saclay is? That's the nuclear plant for France. We have 2 positions. I'm not at the meeting, but my uncle thinks of me and he says, George, if you want to go leave Lebanon, come back to France, you've got an opportunity. And it's a software position. It's not a hardware. I have an electronic degree, it's hardware. I don't like that. That's a major change, right? Bill, hardware, software, right? So I have to end up, taking some courses. So I leave, end up saying, none of the delegation, there were 25. There were lots of African countries, 25 people, none of them took the opportunity. So my uncle calls my mom, his sister, says, so I end up leaving Lebanon, coming to France, do my, doctorate at the University of Paris 6. That's how I did it. By the way, what I did was study, it's in French, granulomètrie des images nucléaires, meaning the French will take pictures of all the place where all the fuels come out of nuclear plants, and they take image and they analyze them to model them. So I did a modeling of image that comes out of nuclear, what do you call it in English? The place where all the nuclear fumes comes out. So I go there when I start, just to let you know, the guy is French, but I remember American movies, he sits his, he puts his feet up on the table. I've never seen that in my life. But when I watch American movies, you see them, and I'm thinking, this guy is very French, and yet look, he's doing what, I forgot the name of one of the actors, they put their feet up. So this is just a surprise to me. But anyway, he was one of the major supporters to me. So this is a guy, his name is Michel Delbos. I still remember people like that, never forget. So he supports me, he's behind me, and then there's an American guy who shows up. He's from the University of Maryland. They're big and hot shots in what? Image processing. His name, last name, Haralik. So he comes, gives a lecture on image processing. Guess what? I'm listening, I'm sitting in the lecture listening, and I apply what Haralik did on my PhD dissertation. That's how I got my dissertation. So, and it was never done, doing the nuclear French, whatever coming out of the nuclear things. Nobody has applied it before. So that's, I'm out of it. So I got my dissertation. I taught at the University of Nantes. Okay, for 1 year, unhappy. Whatever I asked about didn't happen, okay? But anyway, it gets personal, so I'm not gonna say anything about it. So I leave, I apply, and I go to Paris, get my visa to come to the United States. I got accepted. One of my professors in image processing at the University of Paris 6 knows a professor who teaches image processing at the University of Florida. He's a friend. So he writes me a letter of recommendation, except the University of Florida didn't take me because my English, taking TOEFL. My English TOEFL was 550, they asked for 600. I didn't make it. I said, I'm not gonna go. So I take the letter of recommendation, end up at Florida State. My major professor is Israeli from Israel. I've never met an Israeli guy in my life. His name is, on the book, Abraham Kendall. We end up being the best of friends. Kendall never had a Lebanese guy under him, working on his PhD dissertation. So I was the first. And then Kendall happened. He graduated from Technion University Engineering, famous engineering in Israel, and he ends up knowing my major professor in Paris. He did a 1 year sabbatical there. So anyway, got a full scholarship, happy. When you know people and people know you, they know your professors, everything is good. So this is how, it turned out. So Kendall said to me, George, you don't have to sweat about it. Just use your French dissertation. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Before I left, my professor in Paris 6 said to me, how about you do this X, Y, and Z? I wrote down, took notes. I didn't know I'm going to end up in the United States. So that's why I said to Kendall, I'm going to do this. So what did I study? Come on. Bill, you're going to ask me, right? What did I write my dissertation on? My dissertation was studying neurons. How do neurons are able to capture movement? Okay? And how do you apply that to robotics and to missiles and stuff like that? Now, you could see the missile, but I didn't say, we didn't talk about this, but Kendall knows that. Remember? He's Israeli, right? So, but anyway, there are lots of things behind the scenes that I told you I'm going to be honest. So I'm sharing. So the first thing, exciting things, I did what you call visual motion. Okay? So I studied visual motion, applied it at the level of the neurons, but I built mathematical models out of it. And it happened. There's a PhD out of MIT like 2 years before I graduated, published, read it, got influenced by it, and I loved the subject. But I was at Florida State, I was the first to publish, to take that model and put it on a parallel processor. Florida State had acquired a first parallel processor in the state of Florida. I did that. Kendall was happy. I was happy. And 1987, it's serious, it's true. I tell you nothing but the truth. So help me God. 1987, the secretary of Kendall, okay? This is like the fall, 1980s. I don't have a job. I'm excited. I'm happy. My research is going well. 1987, she holds 2 folders in her hand. On the right is Valdosta State. On the left is Armstrong State. And she said, which one are you going to apply? I don't know. What would you do, Diane, if you were in my shoes? How would you know which one to pick? What did I say? You think I could have both, right? And, okay, so moment of truth. You've got to speak the truth. Heard a voice behind my head. Valdosta. I did. I followed that voice. Okay? Didn't know. But anyway, I applied. I didn't apply for Armstrong State. So I took the folder. She said, you can have it. But she said, why are you applying, Valdosta? There are 2 other people who applied to Valdosta State ahead of you. So it's okay. I'm going to do that. So I applied for the position. 15 people have applied to the same position I applied. We're talking 1988, when I took the job. Fall of 1987, so I sent my application. That was the high date of what? Microsoft what? Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So what I did, I started preparing for my PowerPoint presentation, not knowing anything that's going to happen. But anyway, and so 1987, I sent my application, went to Kendall. I said, I need a good letter of recommendation. He does. I got everything ready. Send it to Valdosta State. I got selected. 2 people out of the 15 who applied got selected. Me and another guy who had finishing his PhD in physics has a master's degree in computer science. So that's my competitor. How do I know that? So I go, do my own thing, use PowerPoint presentation. People love me, yes, but I have a competitor. And he was interviewed before me. Okay? So, I don't know any of that story. The last day, the last hour of my interview did great. The boss, my boss, his name is John Schleisner. He taught me his name, like I taught him my name when we're talking. So John said to me, George, there is somebody ahead of you. I said, okay. And he said, never looked at me. Put his head always in the ground. Never shared any story with me. Never talked to me. You're both qualified, but guess what? He goes, shuts the door. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Don't know. But anyway, he shuts the door, and I'm sharing with you the truth, right? John Schleisner, how can you forget John Schleisner, right? That's a favor. So John shuts the door and he says, I don't want him. Okay? Everybody wants him, but I don't want him. I want you. I said, okay. So he said, promise me when you get the letter. So he said, I'm getting a letter written right now. I go to my dean. When we're talking chairman, he's a chairman, University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa, PhD in math. I was in the math and computer science department. And so I am hiring you. And so you're going to get a letter from me in 2 weeks. As soon as you get the letter, respond. And so make sure you copy the dean and the president that you accepted my letter. And just don't worry about it. I said, John, I have a H-1 visa. I'm a researcher, right? When the American embassy in Paris gave me that application, if any of you knows about this, I'm not required to go home. H-1 visa, not required to go home for 2 years. Some of them are, but I'm not. And he said, George, don't worry about it. I know a senator who will fix your immigration status. That is 1988, happened in 1988, spring break at Florida State. It wasn't spring break at Valdosta State. And he said, I will take care of you. Promise me. I said, what? He said, you don't apply anywhere else. I want you here. That is what happened in 1988, Valdosta State University. And I said, what else do you want me to do? He said, as soon as you show up, every year, you're going to start teaching a new course. Okay? I said, which one? He said, we have lots of courses on the book. Nobody taught them before. I said, okay. So, artificial intelligence. Yes. Neural networks. Nobody has started teaching neural networks. You're going to teach that. I said, how do you know all of that? He said, don't worry. But anyway, so you will come to my office at the end of every semester. You're doing good. Your student evaluation are good. You still have my favor on you. That's what John used to talk to me. And I want what you're going to do next semester for me. I say, you're going to give me a break the first year. I'm getting, acquainted with the students. Not everybody, love you. There are people who love me and people who, what kind of guy is this guy? But anyway, just all kinds of things happen in the mind of people. And so the first year I didn't do any research. At the end of the year, I go to his office and I said, there's the first international conference on neural networks in DC. Do you have money? He said, yes, I do. How much? I said, at least $2,000. That's 1989. Summer 1989. So I attended the first, I can't forget that, first international conference on neural networks. And nobody from Florida State showed up to present. Okay? So this is a challenge to me, right? 3 years after that, I published a paper in neural networks. And I take it to John and I said, what do you think? John is happy. If John is happy, my boss is happy, I'm happy. Just to let you know how things changed in my life and how, so I got my tenure. And at the end of, like I said, every semester, John will come. 5 minutes. Talk to me. And I say, you're happy. Yes, George, I'm happy. And he says to me, anything you need. He bought me a SunSpark workstation. Everybody got a $10,000 SunSpark workstation. I got a $50,000 SunSpark station because it used to be the most expensive before. Everything you see about PCs, these were the Linux machine, everything you want to do in image processing. I mean, you ask me, I took some of the French idea from my image processing, so I published a paper in the ACM, on mathematical morphology. That's a French thing. So I showed it to John. He's a mathematician. He said, George, I love that. So as soon as I got the paper accepted the ACM, he gave me a hug. He brought his son, and his son came and shook my hand. Just to let you know the great relationship that I had with John Schleicher. And I taught, let me tell you this, so my students at Valdosta State, so I teach neural networks. I had a bunch of wonderful guys, including one from the Czech Republic, who's right now back in Czechoslovakia doing neural networks. He gets his master's, he's going to get his master's degree from University of Georgia. They teach him a course on neural networks. He emails me. At that time, emails start happening. He says, nothing, what you taught me, I could teach all the kids. None of them know neural networks as much as I do. Fast forward. 1997, 1998, Mom comes and visits with me, finally. My dad passed away in 1990, so she comes to visit. I've got some stellar students right now doing great out of Valdosta State. So his name is Bill Wallace. His uncle is a senator, okay? So he's at Valdosta State. I'm sitting, Valdosta had her first Starbucks coffee, opened in 1998. So I'm there, I love espresso coffee, dark espresso coffee, my students know this, no sugar, no cream, nothing. So I'm sitting with my mom, and we're drinking coffee. Here comes Bill. He goes to my mom, he doesn't come to me. He kisses her hand and said, thank you for letting your son come to the United States. Joe, I'm crying, she's crying, even though she doesn't know much. I mean, she's French, she's good in French. She doesn't know much English. But anyway, so she gets him up and she said, stand, please. She in French, so I translate. But anyway, just to let you know how much people missed me when I left Valdosta State University. One of the nurses of my physician, close physical doctor, she was somewhere else as a nurse, and her husband, so they come to Valdosta, he's enrolled in computer science, Valdosta State University. She tells him, you got a great professor, because, you know, she knows because of the doctor and everything. And so when they knew that I'm resigning, she calls me, and she said, what did we do to you that you left Valdosta State? So I'm just setting the record straight that what happened to Valdosta State, yes, I mean, people love me, I love them, and I still, you know, get emotional anytime I, you know, say that. I left because of personal reasons, nothing at the professional level. Now, fast forward, let's come to Roane State Community College. Please don't hate me, okay? Just gotta take it as is. So I come to Valdosta, I come to Roane State, I don't get the salary, I understand. You can't compare Valdosta State University to Roane State Community College. At that time, we had a vice president who, I think she lacked some brain cells. It's okay. You're gonna allow me to say that, is that okay? Okay, but anyway, she wasn't here. After 2 years, she was gone. So I didn't know that, and I could tell the name of the person. So we go to Nashville without getting her approval. There's a research project. Me and Don Wyndham, we're going to work on this research project. So so this is the ideas out of the book came from that user web mining. How do you mine user behavior on the web? We gave them 10 questions. I go to his classroom, collect data, analyze data, go to talk to the, I forgot his name now, vice chancellor or something like that about the idea. He loves it. Her name is Pat Land. That's VP, Roane State. I didn't know anything about Roane State Community College rules, that you're not supposed to leave campus without their approval. I did that at Valdosta. Nobody said anything to me. I've got John's approval, right? So, but anyway, we go there. She knows. The vice chancellor sent an email to Pat, said, you know, this is a major idea. I'm going to fund it. She doesn't know anything about it. How dare you? She says to Don Wyndham, I still have an email. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're at Roane State, you will never get tenure. Shut up. Didn't say a word. I still have an email copy. Okay. So still, I mean, again, I'm not being kosher, politically correct, but you gotta take that. So, SAIC comes. I forgot the name of the guy who was director of workforce development at that time. Last name is a Greek last name. So, SAIC, next door, engineers, computer scientists. I trained them in Java. At the end of the, you know, I don't know that I said that, so at the end of the first semester, I mean, at the end of my training, 40 hours, they loved it, I loved it, they wanted to, you know, do an application. Guess what? I shared that today with my students. One of the applications they wanted is, you know, how do we apply this whole thing? I said, how about we create a Java, a network from inside a Java program? Love the idea. Let's connect printers to it. So everything. So I've got a Java network sitting. They loved it. I did twice the same training for them, 40 hours. And they wanted to offer me a job. I said no. But I made a mistake, I guess. But anyway, I'm still here. So, so at the same time, my programming 1 students never seen anybody like me excited about teaching the stuff. So programming 1 went okay, programming 2 was a disaster. So I'm sharing with them what I did with SAIC. Everybody put their head down. You're a lot smarter than we are. We don't know what to do. How are we going to be able to understand what you just did? And I taught them how to hack. They called my dean, complaining. And he wasn't more smarter than they are. George, how you're teaching your students to hack. By the way, 2001, you remember what happened in 2001? The terrorists shared hacking information among each other. Okay, just to let you know how sometimes people who are in power could make terrible decisions. I just say that to say, I lived through that. To me, the first, and I became a professor in 2007. I showed up my book, and people who were there voted me in, let me in. I'm okay with that. Wonderful. Everything is gone. President Whaley becomes the president of Roane State Community College. 2013, I think Diane becomes vice president. 2015, TBR. Okay? They come together and they said, we want an AAS degree in IT. And we want it across the board. All community colleges should have an IT degree. We always taught inside of the business school, and that business schools gave us only 5 courses. 5 times 3, 15. How much impact I'm going to have on Bill if Bill only takes 5 IT courses? Bill will never be hired. Bill will never make an impact. And nobody's going to trust Bill with 5 courses in IT. No one. I wouldn't hire Bill. Okay, by the way, right now because of AAS degree, Roane State has hired 2 of my graduates. One in cyber, and somebody's getting hired. I shouldn't say who it is, in a database right now. If TBR didn't come along, and Diane Ward didn't kick my concentration out of the business school, there would be no AAS degree at Roane State. And I wouldn't be as excited, let's strike, as I am today of sharing the good news of being designated National Center for Academic Excellence. Good things, bad things. So I was in the wilderness for more than 12 years at Roane State Community College, even though I published a book. The book that I published, none of my students can handle because it is, you know, it's an undergraduate, senior undergraduate course. But just to let you know, when I was in the wilderness, I still did what? That's right, my research. I published a book in 2007. The publisher refused to put Roane State Community College. Serious. And you can see he's my major professor, Abraham Kendall. His name is there. He's not ashamed of me, even though I am at Roane State Community College. So the publisher said, how about Roane State University? It's still there. I'm serious. I said, okay, that's fine. It's a lie, white lie. I don't care. If Roane State doesn't care at that time, nobody cared. Anyway, so it's still Roane State University. So I published a book while in the wilderness in 2007. Nobody cared about Dr. George Meghabghab. So I say 2015, TBR. Comes TBR all along and they say, we want an IT degree. Guess who fought against the IT degree? Mississippi State. Why? Because Roane State didn't have an IT degree. Remember, I told you I'm going to be honest. Whether you like what I say or you don't, right? So this is what seriously happened. It's on the news in the country. But anyway, so I voted 52% against 48%. Do you imagine what I just said? Come on. Do you understand what I just said? 13 community colleges. I represented Roane State. The agreement to get the degree going past 52% against 48%. The have-nots wanted the degree. The have didn't want the have-nots to have the degree. That is happening at the TBR level. Oh, it's on the news. Oh gosh, but anyway, it's okay. You promised you wanted me. You want to celebrate me? So, but anyway, so this is what took place. It's serious stuff. So, but anyway, Dr. Treva Berryman, TBR, she's the champion of the degree. Thanked me for because I'm the one who said, let's vote. I'm the one who started that. Okay, if you're hungry for things, you want things to happen in your life. So I pushed for that. The vote took place. I remember many people didn't vote for that. You could use any excuse to say, we don't know whether the articulation is solid or the articulation, is good. I think it's good for everyone. So finally, the degree is on in fall. So we get approval September. Diane takes me out of the business, the degree, the concentration out of the business, department. We're in the math and science, and in the fall of 2016, I am, so in the fall of 2016, I stalled the degree. How many students I had? 6. My advisory board looks at me like, yeah, you're excited, you have a degree, you're starting a degree with 6 students. Are you in luck? They looked at me like that, and I said, what's wrong with that? Well, nobody said anything, and I said, when you come to meet with me next time, I'm talking advisory board. If you don't have a job offering for my students, if you have an internship, you're not coming back. I said that. Guess what? I fired all of them. There was one lady that was left, and she promised to bring me back. And, internship, jobs offering, and everything else. Year after that, rise and shine. Finally, Dr. Diane Ward approved to buy us $70,000 worth of cyber defense equipment from Marcraft. Okay? Mississippi had the same equipment, didn't do anything with it. Okay? But I said, I promise I will make it work. So we installed an app, cyber defense lab, we still have it, segregated. Are there problems in it? Yeah. Did we fix the problem? Yes! It's an awesome lab, etc., etc. We're about to increase it and make lots of things out of it. They asked me to do, share what's going on. So at the Rise and Shine, Oak Ridge Chamber of Commerce, anybody remember that? Do you know the Rise and Shine? So they asked me to do a presentation on our cyber degree program. Many people attended, etc., etc. But anyway, at that time, when I did my presentation, Karen Bruner was present. And I said, Karen, how many students do you think I have? She said, George, I don't know. From one fall to another fall, we jumped from 6 to 68 students. And we haven't, since then I could share with you the AAS degree in IT at Roane State drives enrollment in all of AAS degrees. There is no other degree as successful, I'm sorry to say that, as the AAS IT degree. Now, did I have a good time with my dean who just left and we hired a new dean? No. Okay? It's on camera. It's okay. But I had Dr. Ward, Dr. Chris Whaley as my supporters. And never failed me. I still, anytime I need anything, I know how to knock on the door and the door will open. So just to let you know the things that could happen in your life. Now, did I like waiting in the wilderness? Of course not. Did I make a mistake? I'll let you be the judge today of the end of your lecture, because I'm sure you did the same thing. You went through the same thing in your life. There are things. Should I have taken the position they offered me at SAIC? Probably making 3 times more than I'm making, or I made at that time. No, I'm well paid. Roane State has been good to me. Just to let you know, so I go to do, Roane State paid for me to go attend the cyber defense conference in Alabama. The people at SAIC, the lady that offered me the job was present there during the meeting. Shook hands, gave her a hug, and she said, George, how you doing? That lady used to be my neighbor, the house where we are right now. Just to let you know how things work. We hugged, we talked about the things, and I shared with them that we just got a grant from the Department of Defense doing CMMC. And the lady said to me, George, that's awesome. I'm glad things are working. So, anyway, you listen to me. How long have I been talking now? 45 minutes. That's my life in a nutshell. Good, bad, ugly. Is my mom still alive? Yes. She's almost 87. And I still do video calls every Saturday with my sister. My sister is in Lebanon. She's a pharmacist. I have a brother in France who's a very well-known medical doctor, hand surgery doctor, very successful. And I have a brother who came to the United States, IBM, he was in France, hired by IBM Nice, that's their semiconductor hub. They offered him a job, brought in the United States, passed away because of cancer in 2016. A lot younger, a lot smarter than me. I'm nothing compared to my younger brother. But anyway, that's the story of my nutshell. I mean, my family in a nutshell. So thank you for being here. You heard me. I spoke my heart. I didn't, like I said, don't mince words. I have nothing to hide. I'm at an age where I say, what's going to happen, right? There are things I rode on many people's waves. Many people opened the door for me. And many people wanted to shut the door in my face. Sometimes I say, whatever happened. Do I feel, but let me end it with a word of faith, right? I'm a believer. Allow me to say that. I hope you don't feel offended that I'm sharing my faith. So I believe the voice that spoke to me was God's voice in my life. Nothing I would have changed. And I pray whatever I said, you will find God's voice in your life. Thank you for having me. Got questions? Go for it. Yes, guys.
So, your sister's still in Lebanon. Some of your family lived through the Civil War?
My brother, the engineer who passed away, they stayed until they were more brave than I am. I'm chicken, but anyway. They stayed, my sister went to France, studied, went back. She couldn't live without her mom, I don't blame her. And my brother, there's a 2-year difference between we're 5 in the family. So the next one to me, 2 years, next one, and then my dad and my mom took a break for 6 years. And so my youngest brother who passed away and my sister lived through the war, okay? I can tell you it's a very painful situation. There's a major difference of you being in the war and you analyzing the war. Please don't just analyze. If you can get a video, share with somebody from the Ukraine and all the mess they're going through, don't take them for granted. These are people who are suffering and they need all the help and support. This doesn't mean I'm pro or against. But I'm just telling you, any small country that is next to a larger and bigger country, there are lots of things that could go wrong in that country. So I'm not surprised about Ukraine. If you follow me on Facebook, I predicted there's going to be war in the Ukraine. I predicted that end of December. You don't have 100,000 people marching on your door, not just because to say hello, or wonderful. It's just when Israel entered Lebanon, they just moved tanks into Lebanon. President Reagan was kicked out of Lebanon because the Syrian bombarded, the American forces. They kicked them out of Lebanon in 1978, something like that. I forgot, 1981 or something like that. Many people died. So they left. So what did you just say? I'm not trying to make a political statement, but you can't just live without history. You can't just live without politics. Thank you, Tracy.